Hello everyone, welcome to LevelUp. Students often ask this question. If they are preparing for CUET PG and we are also preparing for UPSC, or as we say preparing for UGC NET, can one exam preparation can be used for other exams? And if yes, can we use the material or the lectures of UPSC for CUET PG or UGC NET and vice versa? Can we focus on one aspect and that will we will be able to clear the other exams as well? And the answer to these questions is yes and no, right? Why? Because even though the largely questions and answers will remain the same, history will remain the same, but the orientations of all these papers will be slightly different, the structure will be slightly different, and most probably the standard of exams will also be different, right? The emphasis of all these exams are very different from each other, and that's why perhaps even though it will be useful to focus on one exam and then utilize that same knowledge in other exams, but it is not always the best choice that one can make, because CUET PG has a standard which basically focuses on a person who has just graduated from college and is going for a postgraduate MA courses in history. For UPSC perspective, UPSC is a far more ambitious, far more larger and vast in its curriculum, in its orientation. The emphasis here is not to make out a student. It's not a transformation of a student like in CUET PG. You are converting from a graduate student to a postgraduate student. But in UPSC, you are being converted from a student to a professional. In UGC NET, you are basically made eligible to become a teacher, right? So basically, it is gauging your factual knowledge as well as the depth of your knowledge, right? So the orientation of all these three subjects will be very different. Coming from CUET PG, CUET PG will generally focus is comparatively easier than that of UPSC and UGC NET, because it doesn't consider you an expert in your subject. It just want to focus upon that whether you have thoroughly studied your sources and source material during the graduate courses. Are you a person who can dive into the postgraduate courses, right? Do you have the intellectual capability to undertake higher education, right? So basically, it deals with an overview of everything that you have perhaps have studied in the 3 years of your graduation. The structure is largely based upon your graduation courses, undergrad courses, right? तो यहाँ पर जो emphasis होगा, it will be most on source based, on historiography, on chronology. बहुत ज़्यादा जो है emphasis उस पे दिया जाएगा, ठीक है? As far as UGC NET is concerned, UGC NET focuses a lot on your depth of knowledge and your in your access to primary sources. So they will not ask you questions from your standard textbook, Satish Chandra or Shekhar Bandyopadhyay or Upinder Singh, right? They will be expecting that you must be able to know your sources from primary sources. You must be knowing the Sanskrit terminology. You must be knowing the Persianate terminology. You must be knowing the particular long passages from the chapter. So they can ask you anything from the face of the earth. They consider you an expert of history who is delving into the teaching line. So in order to teach, you also need to be knowledgeable enough to teach others, right? In the past few years, the structure of UGC NET has also undergone a radical change from being subjective to being objective. CUET PG is still a ongoing process. It has started just a few years ago. So basically, it will take some time for its structure to acquire a kind of stable united structure. ठीक है? UGC NET and UPSC has been done for many years. ठीक है? So the person who are giving these exams already know what to expect from say UGC NET, what to expect from UPSC. ठीक है? But CUET PG is something that perhaps can surprise you in certain way, but largely if you are thorough with your studies, ठीक है, there are large number of questions that you will be able to answer in a significant way. UPSC basically focuses on the vastness of your knowledge and the depth of your knowledge also. ठीक है, it basically caters to a very large number of data points. ठीक है, it doesn't just focus on history, it's just a point of it. It doesn't focus on subject specific orientation, right? It focuses on a large number of subjects at your disposal. ठीक है, but UGC NET and CUET PG, they generally focus on certain subject specific knowledge. ठीक है, UGC NET में you have one general paper and one subject specific paper. Earlier CUET PG also used to have a subject specific and a general paper. Now you don't no longer have the general paper, you only have a subject specific paper. Out of this, we only have, in CUET PG, we have a negative marking. ठीक है, and we have a limited timing of the paper. ठीक है, so you have to manage your time very well in that context. You have to be very much sure about your option. That is one thing. UGC NET provides you this much emphasis that it doesn't cut your marks on negative marking. Otherwise, UGC NET doesn't have a very good cutoff. ठीक है, you barely cross 60 in UGC NET. ठीक है, and you will be able to get a JRF, right? But CUET PG, basically you have to be very sure of your answer, or at least make calculated guesswork if you are making it even. ठीक है, ये आपका जो है बहुत मेजर डिफरेंस है. तो इफ यू आर स्टडिंग फॉर UGC NET perspective, it may not be useful for perhaps UPSC, and some of it may come in the perspective of UPSC, CUET PG, but not all of what you study in one paper will be useful for other paper as well. ठीक है, तो अगर आप CUET PG के लिए पढ़ रहे हैं, that may or may not be helpful for other papers and vice versa. ठीक है, for UGC NET and for UPSC, perhaps you have to read a large chunk of data as compared to CUET PG, right? But it will be beneficial for you to study according to the syllabus, because the syllabus, what is specified, what will be coming and what will not be coming, what is the pattern of the exam, it will determine कि आप लोगों का एग्जाम कैसा होगा. CUET PG में कई सारे ऐसे टॉपिक्स हैं which you generally expect in a history syllabus, but it is not part of it. ठीक है, आपको जो है बहुत, आपको जब आप दिल्ली सल्तनत पढ़ेंगे, you will not be asked about क्या कहते हैं, लोधीज and the Sayyids. You are not basically asked many topics from the modern history. ठीक है, you are not specified a lot of subtopic within the modern historical national movement. ठीक है, तो जब इस तरह की चीज़ें होती हैं, तो UGC NET and UPSC has comparatively more vast syllabus. ठीक है, you have to study a lot within that ambit. CUET PG comparatively has a specified syllabus कि ये चीज़ें इसमें आ रही हैं, and these things you have to cover. ठीक है, and so basically it helps you to understand कि CUET PG asks you to focus on certain subject groups, certain topics only. ठीक है, and the topic that are not been asked, ठीक है, you can leave it, even though continuity के मामले में they make sense कि उनको भी पढ़ा जाए, but CUET PG doesn't ask for it. ठीक है, so focus always on the syllabus and the PYQs and the pattern of the exam, according to which we have to study for these papers. ठीक है, so there will be many students even now who will be preparing for UPSC and who are giving the CUET PG exam. So even though these things will continue, these things will carry on, feed into each other, but still try to not take CUET PG lightly, or try to take CUET PG as an offset or a derivative of other exams. ठीक है, हर एग्जाम के पैटर्न को समझ के उसके हिसाब से और मोल्ड योर प्रिपरेशन. ठीक है, that will be a major way of preparing for these exams. Thank you.